Welcome to the breakdown. I'm your host, Diane Rembert, avid reader, award winning literary blogger, and the founder of Diamond's Literary World, which is my footprint in the literary industry. Today, I want to talk to you about an author who is very underrated, one that I think I'm going to be paying more attention to. And I'm talking about none other than Ty Marshall. The book that I'm referring to is 80's Baby. 80's Baby talks about when crack infiltrated the streets. Prior to that, as we know, heroin was very, very big. We see it. It was really, one of the downfalls of the African American family. But in came this drug called crack, and wow, it took over. We see it says crack made kings, and it really did, because a lot of people lost everything while a lot of people gained a lot. I'm not going to say everything, but they became rich. They became kings and queens of the streets. A lot of people, got rich off of the demise of their own people. Now, one of the main characters is Hassan. Hassan, you see where he went up the ranks in the streets, and you know he he was like a king in the streets, and he met this young lady named Rhae. Now Rhae comes from a very troubled background. Her and her sister Charlene, they pretty much had to fend for themselves. Charlene is like stealing and doing all types of things to make sure her little sister eats. And they meet this guy who takes them in, and invites him into their home, and that's where they are until he, goes off to prison. Somebody snitched on him. So now, but in the meantime, Rhae is learning, what it is to be, to get that money, to be in the streets, as you would say. And she learned very well, where Charlene was just content with being at home, and living the hustler's wife lifestyle. So fast forward, Rhae is now a grown woman. She's living her life. She meets this guy named Hassan, who is in the streets, and this relationship blossoms amongst them, or between them, I should say. And life is good. Rhae happens to one day stumble upon this woman in the street. They're coming from the club, and she stumbles upon this woman in the street. This woman who is strung out on crack. When she takes a closer look, it's her sister Charlene. So, she takes her sister in and helps her to get the help that she needs, to get back on track. Meanwhile, Hassan has this team built around him, but unbeknownst to him, his right hand man is like a Judas in his camp. He is the snake amongst all snakes. He's fine with coming home and being the muscle of the team, but he battles a demon. He becomes, he starts getting high off his own supply. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, and so now he's like bugging, like mentally bugging, and he feels like Hassan, shouldn't be the king of the streets. He feels like Hassan shouldn't be with Rhae because he saw Rhae first, all of this, and then he connects with Charlene, and I don't want to tell you the whole book, but crackhead come together, and it's not a beautiful sight. That's all I'm gonna say. But this book reminded me so much of New Jack City. Now, if you remember the Nino Brown, and and my brother's keeper, it reminded me a lot of this movie, until Mr. Ty Marshall, Mr. Ty Marshall, Mr. Ty Marshall put a spin on it. He threw a twist in there that I did not see coming. And I was just like, wow, wow, you know. Um, but then he put a twist on the twist. And that solidified this young man's crown for me. He is the absolute truth. I have been hearing about Ty Marshall from a dear friend of mine, Akion Charles. He told me Ty Marshall was definitely one to look out for. But because I'm so busy and have so many books, but I decided, what, now was the time. That book was just calling out to me, and I'm so glad I did. Ty Marshall, if you're looking at this, please know that you will get another invitation to come back to Diamond's World, and hopefully by then I will have read another book by you. You, sir, are the truth. If you have not picked up this book, please go and do so. And then I want to thank him because he, in turn, recommended me to a fellow author on the West Coast. And I that means everything to me, Mr. Stanley James. What more can I say? My literary twin, when I was talking to him about it just this morning, he was like, yeah, but you have so much more to go. So please know that you will be seeing more from Ty Marshall here on Diamond's World, on the breakdown. And if you want to connect with him on Instagram, I think it's the Ty Marshall era. Just type in Ty Marshall and it'll come up. He's also on Facebook. I'm not sure if he's on Twitter. Not sure if he's on Twitter, but please connect with him. Please go and download at least one of his books. I promise you, you hopefully will be as mesmerized as I am. Now, I will give this book 4 stars, 4 diamonds. I wish I could give it 4.5, because there were just some minor errors, very minor, but took nothing away from the quality of the book. So there you have it, Mr. Ty Marshall, 80's Baby. I believe it's When Crack Made Kings. Please go and pick up this book. Please go and support this author. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and do so now. Thank you for telling others about me and what I'm doing. Thank you for trusting me to bring you these books. And please continue to leave your comments. I appreciate you guys so much. With that being said, until next time, happy reading and be blessed.